Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's live broadcast. Today, we're going over the weekly astrology of March 9th, 2024, and we're going to go over the energies of the week, and we will be breaking it down for each sign of the zodiac. So if you are here jumping on, say hello, let me know you're here. I'm going to do a quick sound check. And we are good. So we're going to go ahead. And I wanted to actually respond to this comment from Dahlia. She actually commented this before the live happened and says, I had a client no-show, tweaked my back adjusting the spa bed. I'm over this day already and looking forward to your live. So Dahlia, I hope you're here, and I hope this brings you a little bit of comfort or something, clarity or something. And I will talk about the aspect in the sky today that is creating this sort of more tense atmosphere. So we're going to talk about a few key things happening for this week. On today, Saturday, March 9th, we have Mars square Uranus. Late tonight, early Sunday morning on the 10th, Mercury enters Aries. On Sunday the 10th, we have a new moon in Pisces sextiling Uranus. And on Monday the 11th, Venus enters Pisces, where she is very happy. So although Saturn is there, so that changes the dynamic slightly, but here we are with the weekly energy coming up. If you are new to my channel, welcome. Like I said, we are going over what these weekly aspects mean, and then that will be followed by a breakdown for each sign of the zodiac. So you can watch this first portion to understand the overall energy, and then you can go to your sun, moon, and rising once we get to that stage of the video and watch for your sun, moon, and rising, knowing that your rising sign usually is going to be more of what's happening in the external world, but a lot of us do relate also to our sun or our moon, and sometimes all three. So that being said, also a couple of announcements. One is you can book a private reading with me. I do private readings. And if you need financial assistance, I now have an application where you can apply for that and have a chance to get a private reading with me that way. So there are both of those links are in the description. And now let's get into the energies. So today we have Mars square Uranus. This one is spicy. And I shouldn't even say spicy because it's more disruptive than it is fun generally. Squares have the sort of definition that adjustments are required. Mars rules our action, our passion, our desire to get shit done. Uranus is a curveball. It's unexpected. And planets that aspect Uranus tend to have sort of an energy where they build up, and then bam, hit a breaking point. When Mars squares Uranus, this is the metaphorical breaking point. Now, if someone has a Mars-Uranus square in their natal chart, this would be someone who their anger builds up, and then bam, it releases. And for the person who has it, after that, they're kind of fine, but maybe the other person may not be. But it really is a challenge for Mars Uranus people to sometimes let their anger out in little pieces, right? It usually kind of builds up and then bam. So we may have a bam build up moment in the world. Mars Uranus in the world is like explosions and stuff. In our lives, it's things that are explosive, but it may not be quite so intense, just depending on who we are. Other things Mars rules that can come up, it's like little fights, fights with people or inflammation in the body, or that is not medical advice or a diagnosis or anything like that. But Mars does rule inflammation. It rules heat, right? And Uranus kind of rules electricity. And so again, it can be breaking points. You can find yourself feeling more frustrated. You can find that with other people, tensions are running higher than normal. And this is again on Saturday. So that's kind of the Mars Uranus breakdown of the square and what it means. Now, Mars being an Aquarius gives it more of a online or sort of a technical flavor, which could mean on Saturday today we have little technical issues or disconnection issues, or I think of things like a fuse box getting too hot and not working anymore, or something electrical in the car, something electrical at home sort of overheating. Now, that doesn't mean everyone's stuff is going to overheat. This kind of stuff depends on what houses in your chart Mars and Uranus are. So it'll be different for everyone. But the point of Saturday, the 8th, is that, or the 9th, excuse me, is that we have tensions running high. So if you need to just give yourself a little more time to get places, sort of allow for things not to be easy, allow for a little bit of one extra step before you need to do something, or, that kind of thing. And if you have Mars Uranus in your natal chart in connection, well, this aspect you'll probably feel it a little more. Also, I think of Mars Uranus, that one of the positive sides of Mars Uranus is sometimes people with this connection natally end up being like emergency responders. So it's the ability to act instinctually. Sometimes the connection between Mars and Uranus means we have to act right away. There's something urgent that we need to deal with. So for some people, that could happen today. For others, it's more about the feeling of urgency and being able to recognize that and talk yourself out of making a rash decision, especially if you're pissed off. So no keyboard courage today. Watch out for that. Watch out for telling someone off if you can't afford the consequences of that. That kind of thing. Now, if you need a little burst of anger, I don't know, like you're pissed off at someone and you need to just tell them back off, it might be a good day for that. But the thing about Uranus is that Uranus kind of pours energy into Mars. So it stimulates our Mars. It stimulates our anger. It stimulates our impatience. It stimulates our desire to win. But usually with the square, this isn't a good way. So it's not a good day to be like, oh, I feel like winning. Maybe I'll go run a marathon. Just because it's like you're more likely to strain yourself overdoing something today with this aspect. That is that. This aspect, Mars-Uranus, will be active until about Wednesday. So just know today's the height of it. But yeah, it will be active until about Wednesday. So we're going to go on now to the next aspect, the next thing that I think is going to be the biggest for the week, and that is late Saturday. That's late today, early Sunday, the 10th. We have Mercury entering the sign of Aries. And so because Mercury has been in Pisces, this will be it's kind of important because Mercury leaves the sign where it doesn't do as well. This is going to be more significant to you if you are a Gemini or a Virgo, as those two signs are ruled by Mercury. So for those who have felt at all sort of confused lately, especially the last few days with the Mercury-Neptune conjunction, there tends to be more things happening that you just can't get clear on. So just know that it doesn't guarantee, Mercury being in Aries doesn't guarantee we all have clarity. Mercury being in Pisces kind of guarantees we are confused or we don't have all the information, or it's foggy, it's not clear what our plans even should be at this point. And, it's kind of like driving in the fog. So as of tonight, that feeling of driving in the fog might leave us related to the areas of life Mercury rule. And I'll get more specific on that for every sign as we go through the sign breakdown. So the next thing I want to talk about is Sunday. We have this new moon in Pisces. So the new moon in Pisces, let's move our chart to the Sunday for this? I thought I told myself what time. Yes, 10 a.m. Or sorry, 1 second, 1 a.m. So technically, this is really, really early Sunday morning. We can see the sun and the moon at 20 degrees of Pisces. So this new moon in Pisces does bring new beginnings in our Pisces house. Again, I will talk about this for each sign when we get to the sign breakdown. But it does bring a new beginning of art, creativity, music, flow, Pisces type stuff. And it also has this nice sextile to Uranus. So when Uranus is sextile the new moon, this does bring a bit of a positive change, a bit of a change that has some ease or some flow or some magic to it. So Sunday morning is a really good day to kind of act on inspiration, right? It's like today, Saturday the 9th, we get all this angst out of our system. Sunday morning, we may find that we have a new idea or just a little spark of inspiration. And Uranus aspects, sometimes they are tough, but the sextile kind of makes it feel like, one, it's probably going to be more of a change that allows for a new beginning, that brings some kind of ease or flow or something nice and connected and magical, a meditation, a healing practice, a new type of music, right? It can be anything Pisces like, and Pisces is the dreamer of the zodiac. So we could see like a new movie come out, or we could see, like we realize we love this new video game, right? Because Pisces also rules that escape from reality. So things that are not of this world. And again, that can be healing practices, that can be video games, it can be movies, fantasy, sci-fi, music, things you get lost in. Okay, so something positive Sunday morning that we can get lost in. Be on the lookout for that. And another thing to know about it being a sextile for Sunday morning is that sextiles only do something if we do something. Sextiles only, help us if we act on the energy. So if there's some kind of divine inspiration, some kind of spark for something new, or like a new movie you want to go to, or a new place with like a nice scenery you want to check out, or some other kind of creative inspiration showing up in your life on Sunday morning, you're only going to get the benefit of that if you do something to say yes to it. Or if you get the idea, this is not a trine, which means it's not something that will just fall into our lap, but the potential for these, energies to work well and harmonize is high. And because it's a sextile from Taurus to Pisces, both of these signs, they're feminine, and they really love beauty and to feel good, right? Pisces loves ease. Taurus loves sensuality and comfort, right? So it might just be that Sunday morning is a nice day to stay home and watch your favorite movie, or, put on your nicest clothes and go on a date somewhere, or take yourself somewhere beautiful, or something else where you're consciously making an effort, so to speak, to do something easy or peaceful or enjoyable or fun that has that aspect of flow. Okay, so Sunday's a good day to listen to your divine inspiration or creative ideas. And the next thing that we're having is going to be on Monday. So Monday, the 11th, Venus will enter Pisces. So let's move it over to that. Okay, so I have this on the 12th now, but technically it's happening on the 11th. Monday, we will be having Venus enter Pisces. This is overall a very nice time, nice place for Venus, because it is the place Venus does the best. Venus also wants to enjoy beauty and things that are lovely and enjoy the senses and kind of kick back and let good things happen. So Venus here is she's going to be happier, which means whatever Venus rules in your life is going to also probably have a little bit more ease or flow attached to that thing. Now, we can't ignore the fact that Saturn is here. So, during the next couple years that Venus goes through Pisces and Saturn being here, Saturn kind of maybe takes a little bit of that joy and turns it into work, or maybe limits the amount of joy we can have, or limits the amount of ease or beauty we can have, or makes us work for it. It's like, yeah, you can watch all the movies you want, but you have to get your work done first. It reminds me of, when I was in school, if I if I didn't go to school on a Friday, I had to stay home that weekend. And that was like one of the few things my parents were strict about. And they gave me a lot of freedom with everything else. But it kind of reminds me of that sort of mentality that, like, you have to earn your leisure. You can't just be sick all week. You can't just be like sick on a Friday and then go do stuff on the weekend. Anyway, apply that to your life and however that resonates. But Venus in Pisces, it's like, again, we have to earn our leisure. We have to earn our pleasure. But the pleasure, it's like we can work hard and play hard is kind of how I feel during this transit. Or sometimes, sometimes with Saturn and Venus connected, it's like you're committing to things that create beauty. So, deciding you're going to, I don't know, I think of myself like buy new makeup or something, right? Where it's like, there's something hard about it, but it's still something related to Venus that's beautiful. Or you're chiseling out a structure and you're making a beautiful sculpture. Or you're, I don't know, learning about your color theory and what looks good on you, and then you're wearing those things. Or you're making a sacrifice for love, right? Making a sacrifice for love or money is another very Venus thing with Saturn there. And with it being in Pisces, it's almost like making a sacrifice for the good of all related to love or money, or making a sacrifice because there's some authority is not providing the structure, so you need to step up and be that. Being a little bit more on your own can also be sort of a Saturn and Pisces thing. Authorities letting us down is unfortunately one of the significations of Saturn and Pisces. It's like that structure that was supposed to be there gets eroded away by the water. And now we have to figure out what to do. It's on us. So it might be on you to make money, or it might be on you to, plan the dates or something like that. All right. So I think now is a great time for us to go to the all signs, starting with Aries. So let me get our chart all situated for this. And we can also, you guys can let me know in the comments how you're feeling with the energies. How is it going for you? Let me see if I'm going to be able to do this. Yeah, I am. All right. Oh man, I just messed it up. Let's just check this, make sure everything's good. And it looks like it is. Okay. So we are going to now Aries. So this is Aries for the week of March 9th, 2024. And for Aries, what we have here is, first of all, Mars in the 11th. Oops, I gotta grab my timer really quick, guys. Okay, so for Aries, Mars in the 11th, squaring Uranus in the 2nd, means there might be some tensions running high related to money or friendships. This is, 11th to the 2nd really is kind of a money thing, because the 11th is money from the work you've done, right? And the 2nd is your money. So it's like, are you impulse buying today? Are you investing in something? Do you not have the money to go join something with friends? Do you have more people and more things to do than you can afford? Something like that. Or is there tension between friends and like your social life and your career responsibilities? Like Aries, do you want to be working, but you also wanted to go do something and you can't do both? Is there something going on like that? That can also be a source of tension for Aries today. But either way, Mars rules you and your eighth house of intimacy. And that's that's the part that's getting the squeeze. So maybe there's something putting pressure on your money or your debt or your finances. That really is the thing that jumps out the most for that. But let's go on now for Aries to Mercury entering Aries. For you, Mercury leaves that 12th house and enters that first house, bringing a new focus related to your communication and your work. So if you were working behind the scenes while Mercury was in Pisces, or there was confusion around your role or what you were really supposed to be doing, or you felt like you were meandering a little bit on your day-to-day schedule, now on the 10th, Sunday, we may see a new course of action, a new beginning related to what you need to be doing every day, what you need to be saying, what you need to be talking about, and an ability to now get straight to the point of whatever may not have been clear or easy at that point. Now, for this new moon in Pisces, for you, that's in your 12th house of isolation and like meditation and stuff, while Saturn is there in your 12th house, really kind of bringing that focus on that stoic facing your fears, facing the fear of death, facing all this challenging stuff, so that it's not underneath the surface. It's there, and there's an awareness of it no longer has power over you. So with the new moon here, this really does bring a new beginning to maybe how you're meditating, how you connect with your spirit guides. And again, this does feel like a change in your work schedule, Aries, or something like that, because it's like a new beginning to how much quiet time you have. Maybe you're entering a cycle where you have more peace. Maybe you're entering a cycle where you're a little bit busier. With Saturn in the 12th, I would err toward creating more time alone or having more downtime or something like that. So remember, this will show up differently for everyone. But overall, it does feel like this Mercury changing signs can create an energy shift for you in your schedule, your health, your day-to-day work, something like that. Now, the next thing for Aries is going to be let's see, what's next? The Monday. So Monday, when Venus enters Pisces, let me get to that day. I think I'm looking at Tuesday here, but it has the same thing. Venus entering Pisces, that 12th house. When Venus is in the 12th house, there's always a possibility, because Venus rules your money house, that you could lose a little bit of money. Now, this will show up differently for everyone, but it's more likely on the second ruler and the 12th that you would do something like spend money on something that you either like you buy something that's not what you wanted to buy, or you pay for something and it's not what you need and you don't get the money back, or things like this. So watch out for that. I mean, just watch out that what you are spending your money on is really what you truly want, and that is good, and that it's sound. But good things about Venus in the 12th house is the house of bed pleasures. So when Venus goes through that 12th house, it makes things nice. It's like it brings an ease and probably more focus on sexuality and the ability for that to be more enjoyable during this transit. Now, however, Saturn is there, so that makes me feel like just don't get caught or don't get in trouble, or something like I don't know. Some of you really, Aries, might be focusing on sex right now, and there might be almost, with Saturn there, I think of like people, when people spiritualize sexual practices, like how monks will, I don't know if you guys have heard this, where monks, I don't know if monks do this because they're not supposed to even do anything sexual. But there's one like spiritual thing where people will get as close as they can and then they'll stop. And the idea is that the energy goes back into your body. Aries, you guys might be doing something like that. The rest of you who that doesn't apply to, the Venus going through the 12th can actually be things like enjoying rituals, spiritual rituals, enjoying hypnotherapy, enjoying things that bring you to an altered state of consciousness. And with Saturn here, it's probably stuff you're doing on purpose. And with Neptune here, it actually does feel like this would be very aligned for Aries if you're doing stuff like finding the Akashic records or putting yourself into a trance for certain type of work, or things like this might be coming up as well. And Venus in the 12th, enjoying privacy, enjoying your alone time, enjoying time to read or study or do something really serious with your alone time. Again, maybe you're studying what happens when we die. You're learning all the Tibetan Book of the Dead or something, right? It can be something like that where you're enjoying a more serious, right? With Saturn here, very serious, very heavy topic. So Aries, let me know if that resonates. We're going to move on now to the next sign, which is going to be our Tauruses. So let me get us to that place here. So let's do that. Okay, so we are on the sign of Taurus. For Tauruses, we have the Mars-Uranus square. Mars in the 10th, Uranus in the 1st. This one's probably, you're going to feel this a little bit more. Now, this is going to be the desire to really achieve or accomplish, which is in conflict with something related to the identity. So on Saturday the 9th, today, you guys could be feeling like, you want to go do something, but you can't, or you want to reach a certain level in your life, that next step, the next thing you want to accomplish. But it's almost like there's some string to the present that's kind of pulling you back to right here, or something that is making this tense and not easy, right? You really, really want to do something in your 10th house of career, work, and public life. Pluto's been here recently, making you kind of realize ways that your work might not feel totally authentic. Venus is up here in the 10th, so you may be doing things that are more visible. You might just be out in public today. You might be focusing more on your work or your legacy or your reputation. You might be just enjoying the work that you're doing or enjoying something about your reputation, but at the same time, having more to do to receive the good things. It's like you have more to do at work or more to do related to your role in life right now. And that maybe that Uranus tension Saturday is just simply, I can't do all the things I want to do. But Mars for you rules your 7th house of partnership. So it could be your partner. If you're in a relationship, Taurus, that is, feeling stretched in all directions, getting pissed at you or blows up at you over something, or maybe they're working overtime or they're getting a lot done, and, something related to that is stressful. They're stressed, they're busy and stressed, or they're far away. There's a disconnection, something like that. I'm not predicting breakups. I wouldn't do that for general readings, but this could be a time where there is a disconnection from a partner, especially if there have been tensions running high. Okay, so this can also be because Mars also rules your 12th house of isolation, and Mars being in the 10th house, now might be a time where things you were upset about that you didn't know you were upset about related to your work life or your public life might come up, and you might realize what they are. So, moving on now to Mercury entering Aries for Tauruses. Let me get it to Taurus. That's going to be Mercury entering your 12th house of isolation, spirituality, hidden enemies. Mostly I think of like psychology, spirit guides, things we're afraid of, stuff like this. So Mercury rules your second house of money. Okay, this is the same for Aries. Your money ruler in the 12th, you got to watch out that you don't spend on something you don't really need or lose money in some way. But you could also be you're investing in 12th house stuff. So you're spending money on, I don't know, offerings to the gods in your rituals, or spending money on a hypnotherapy course, or other things that make altered states of consciousness possible, or things like recovery, things like retreats. Some of you is just you're spending money on that. Other things about Mercury, because Mercury also rules your 5th house of pleasure. The 5th house ruler in the 12th house, I can't get away from talking about sex today. This can be a nice one because the 12th house rules bed pleasures and the 5th house is pleasure. So you can put that together and figure out what that means. For Tauruses, that can just be a time where you have more privacy or you're enjoying your privacy in that kind of way. But it could also be you enjoy your privacy in a totally innocent, non-sexual way, like writing songs by yourself, or learning a new song, but it's in private and no one knows what it is yet. So Taurus is maybe working on some new creative self-expression of any kind, and now is the time where you're doing it behind the scenes. It's not something you're releasing to the public at this time, but that you're enjoying it. You're enjoying singing a song by yourself, writing a song, writing something, journaling, writing letters to your favorite planets, learning about the planets, studying astrology in private, doing all kinds of stuff like that. So then let's go on now to the next part of the week for Aries, which is going to, for Taurus, which is going to be the new moon in Pisces. I'm not on the exact time here, but where the sun is, this is when it will be where it will be. The sun and the moon at 20 for that new moon in Pisces in that 11th house of hopes and dreams. So there might be a new thing that you start to go after. And remember, the new moon is not usually the moment of the new beginning. It's sort of like the calm before that new beginning even starts. So perhaps something creative happening with Tauruses, or, because that 5th house ruler in the 12th is like something creative, something passionate is secret, or someone gets pregnant and they aren't telling anyone yet. And then that 11th house is like bringing it to the masses, or if you have something creative, this is when you like showcase that, you show it to all the people. It's also your professional life in terms of your networking, the people you network with. It's your friends, groups of friends. So this might be a time where you become more social. There's new friends you meet that you're going to hang out with, a new club you join, a new workplace you start going to, anything like that. Or it can be a new beginning related to a hope and dream, or putting out something creative to the public. With Saturn here, you might be stepping up to things related to your life as a member of a group, right? So like chairing a meeting, or like joining an astrology association if you study astrology, or, something like that, where you're stepping up to some kind of responsibility in a group setting. That's that Saturn in the 11th influence. And that new beginning in Pisces with the sextile from Uranus in the 1st does feel like it's a very good time, starting the 10th of March, for Tauruses to make new friends and build up some connections with people related to your next stage of life in terms of what you want to do with yourself and your life. Okay. So the next thing we have for Taurus is going to be when Venus moves into Pisces. So let's just get the chart on that. Venus will enter that 11th house, bringing more enjoyment to your friends, your hopes and dreams, and the people you're around. So this might just be one lovely person joins your friend group and it's just so much nicer. It might be that you start going to something for your work. Maybe you have to work with new people, or there's coworkers. Your coworker life becomes more public. You become more mingly with your coworkers, or your coworkers are more of a, it's like more of a group setting during this time. Also, Venus rules you. So you could just be having more fun in public, having more fun with people. You could also be doing things with people that aren't fun, that you're just doing more of, right? You're showing up at it somewhere, making an appearance. You might just be making an appearance at different places while Venus is in the 11th house. And because Saturn's there, it might be to fulfill some responsibility. And since Venus is you and it's Venus in Pisces, it might be like you're getting dressed up and going to events or something. So that's what I have for Tauruses. Let me know in a comment, you guys, if this resonates. And if you haven't seen the eclipse video, that video is already out. So feel free to check that one out as well for your sun, moon, and rising. So moving on now to our next sign, which is going to be Geminis. For our Geminis, oops, I'm not doing it right here. Let me get myself together. There we go. So for our Geminis, the week of March 9th, what we've got happening is Mars square Uranus from the 9th to the 12th. So Mars in the 9th is like, I want to travel, right? It's like I want to go on a trip to another country. Uranus in the 12th, I don't like this. I don't like Uranus in the 12th because it's like this unexpected, really scary thing that's like your worst fear could happen. Now, this is a transit, so it's not like it has to be that bad, but it's almost like you didn't get your visa and you just found out, right, to go somewhere, or something else like that, where you want to do, you're motivated to move forward when it comes to faith, the meaning of life, when it comes to astrology or studying metaphysics, or when it comes to travel or foreign languages or publishing something. But Uranus puts tension on this. What I feel for most of you is like, if you're a Gemini who's writing a book, it's like today's the day where you're like, I want to get the book finished, but you can't, or you want to submit it to the publisher and they're not in the office today and you just have to wait. But the feeling of, I really want to do this is stronger, where you just don't have the patience. That's kind of what I feel for this. Or, with Mars in the 9th, you can also, sometimes there's a need to defend your beliefs with this one. So it's like, you can be trying to defend your beliefs and it gets shot down, or something you submit, or an argument you put forward. It's like you're too upset. You can't get the words out, or what you have to say or what you're trying to accomplish sort of gets tripped up, or it goes haywire or something. As far as how Geminis might be feeling around this, I would say it probably feels like wanting to be 10 steps further than you are especially when it comes to like your spiritual path. And so today might be a day where it might be best to just chill, even though that's the opposite of what you want to do, because otherwise you might just kind of burn up your energy a bit, which isn't the end of the world. But we're going to move on to Mercury entering Aries for you. So you're Mercury, Gemini. So you going into Aries means, especially the last few days while that Mercury-Neptune conjunction has been happening, if you have not felt clear on what your plan needs to be, or whether the plan ahead makes sense, or what the next steps you need to take are, starting Sunday, this feels like you may have more clarity just around what needs to be done, especially related to anything you're doing that's 11th house related. So what you're doing with your friends, what you're doing with your colleagues, what you're doing with groups of people. It can also be family stuff gets cleared up because Mercury rules your 4th house. So if you're unclear, Gemini, on whether you need to move or not, or whether, you are going to do something related to your house or your home, then now might be a better time for those topics to actually move forward. Especially if there was some kind of flood in your house a couple days ago or something unclear related to what you want to do when it comes to like where you want to live or other things related to the home. If you've been feeling weird emotionally last couple days, the fourth house is our emotional foundation. Your emotional foundation has been underwater basically with Neptune. So if you feel like you're drowning in emotions, Gemini, maybe Mercury going into Aries will help sort of dry some of that out, as it is a hot and dry sign. But you might be more impatient during this time. So, and you'll probably want to get straight to the point, and you'll probably be able to, but there might be a need to go back and fix something, because that's kind of an Aries tendency. While you are in Aries, you, Mercury, are in the sign that just wants to get everything done right now. All right. I would say watch out for this, for Geminis and Virgos, actually, because this is you wanting to get it accomplished. So I think it's a good time to just go straight for things. But with Uranus squaring Mars, it's almost like unless it's something that you need to wait. So knowing what to be patient about and what to do something about, and just going and doing something else, finding something else to do for the things that are like hung up with red tape or something, is highlighted, I would say, from the 10th forward till, April. Moving on now for Geminis we want to talk about the new moon in Pisces as well. So new moon in the 10th house sextile Uranus. This will be a new beginning in work for Geminis with some extra little spark. So if you're feeling inspired to do something new, you might have some new opportunities related to your public life or your role in life and what you do for your job, what you're known as. And that Uranus is going to stimulate something maybe creative, something maybe that brings flow or ease or an artistic quality or an aesthetic or a vibe or a scene to what you do may be happening. And remember, the new moon isn't usually the exact point of the start point of the new beginning, right? It's this sort of quiet time before that cycle starts. It's like when you take a breath before you start talking. So don't expect a brand new beginning on, exactly on Sunday. Maybe some things are like that, but for a lot of us, it's like this is the spark of the idea in the mind of whoever it is that creates that new beginning that manifests as the moon grows in light during that cycle. Okay. Next for Geminis is going to be this Venus entering Pisces. So Venus entering the 10th house means there's a potential to enjoy your work more, enjoy your responsibilities that you're stepping up to more. And for you, Venus rules your 5th house, so it definitely brings a lot more pleasure to your work. Or sometimes it's like you just are working with someone really beautiful, right? Sometimes it's very, specific and very simple like that. It could also be there's more talk about money or love or relationships related to what you do. It can be work is focused on the aesthetic or the way a thing looks. It could, again, be just something lovely. Maybe someone's turning on the best music every day at work for this time while Venus is in the 10th house, right? Maybe, there's like some lights in the background and there's a scene and it's a vibe. It's going to depend on what kind of industry you're in and what you do. But overall, I would say way more chance to enjoy work during this time. And if you're not working, the 10th house is still going to be your role in life. So let's say your role is you're retired. Just whatever you do is going to be that. If your role is stay-at-home parent, more chance to enjoy going out places with your kid or, take them to things that are pretty and see art with them. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if everyone sees art with their kid, but things that look cool, like taking them to an aquarium or something that, is like enjoying the lights, enjoying the scenery. So factor that into whatever you do. If your work were more pleasurable, or your job every day, the thing that you have to do, were more enjoyable and had more loveliness and poetry and beauty infused into it, what would that look like? You're going to see a little bit of that with Venus going through that 10th. And there might be some more responsibility at work, but again, something comes along to make it more like you can whistle while you work. You can enjoy the thing you're doing a little bit more. Then, wait, was that it? I think that's it. Yep, that is it for Gemini. We're going through Monday of this week. Keep in mind that Mars-Uranus tension is going to go through about Wednesday. And if you want more energy reports, check out the eclipse video for more on what's to come for the next 6 months. Starting the end of March, the eclipses season is almost here. So let's go on now to our next sign, which is going to be... what's our next sign? Cancers. Let's see. Okay, so we have it on Cancers now. That is the next sign we're doing. And let me know for the Aries, Taurus, and Geminis who are watching. Let us know how everything resonates. I always love seeing your comments. I don't always respond to everyone, but I always love seeing every single one of those. And we're about to Cancer now. All right. Cancers. We're going to start off with this Mars-Uranus square. Mars in the 8th, Uranus in the 11th. For you, Mars rules your 10th house and 5th house. So pleasure and money are connected here. Maybe you enjoy some Cancers with the Mars in the 8th. Some of you might be enjoying paying off debt. Some of you might be fighting with your partner about money, most likely. Some of you might have some kind of little challenge related to money, related to some interest or, a hidden fee or something. Others, it's you're feeling more motivated to pay off debt or to, save for retirement or put your money into something that where it gains money or, investments of any kind. Not usually I would say probably not real estate because that goes in the 4th, but other kinds of investments. Mars and Uranus in the 11th. Maybe there's tension between friends, maybe there's tension in your life right now between friends because it's friends versus intimacy. And there's this problem, almost like maybe your friends want to be something with friends and privacy being an issue here. That could be it. And it could just be, your sex life gets tense or, someone you're dating gets pissed about something. It could be something simple like that. It could also be your job. There's more work to be done than you can do, or tensions are running high at work today. For those of you who are working, and that can go for a few more days. So I do feel like that might just be a time where there's more emergencies at work or something. Now going on to Mercury going into Aries. So when Mercury goes into Aries on tomorrow, Sunday, for Cancers, this is going to affect your 3rd house of communication, maybe even your car. And let's see, it's also going to affect your 12th house of isolation. So it's possible something you've done behind the scenes becomes public at work, or something you were doing in private is now seen by more people. This could be on purpose. It could be something you're doing intentionally. It could also be you're talking to more people. You're talking to more people at work, having more conversations at work, and getting to the bottom of something. It feels like if there was something you needed to figure out with a boss or you needed to figure out at work, this would be a time where I would think you're figuring it out. It can also just be that there's something more significant going on at work at this time. Maybe especially if what you've been doing the last month or so has been to prepare yourself for a next level or a certification or something at the work that you're doing. That's not going to be everyone, just some people. Either way, Mercury and Aries can bring more clarity to your communication and how you're communicating. And maybe if you've been trying to get answers, this would be a better time to get answers, to get to know what's happening with your job, with your boss, with your workplace, or with your next steps, or even just making plans for your next steps as far as your career, especially if you've been feeling that sort of heavy, watery emphasis of Neptune being like, I don't even know if I should talk about this thing. I don't even know if this is real. I got to figure out what's going on. Just this heavy feeling of like, what does this all mean even? So I feel like this can lighten up topics related to communication and getting answers when it comes to the workplace. Again, you can just be busier at work right now, moving around more at work, physically hotter, that kind of thing. All right, so that is Mercury. Now we're going to talk about the new moon. It's technically when the moon is at 20 degrees of Pisces, so where the sun is here, and that's in your ninth house of the meaning of life. This could be a new, with Uranus in the 11th. I like this for you, Cancer, because this can be like a new thing that you do where it's like a new decision to travel somewhere or a new decision to, start speaking a new language, or you've been studying the language, now you start actually speaking it, or like things like that are exciting that bring that ninth house stuff. And the ninth house, if I had to put it in one word, I would call it the quest. Although it's a complicated house, there's a lot of stuff in it. It feels like, sorry, I got distracted. Back to Cancers, some kind of new idea, maybe from a friend, or just a new inspiration or an old inspiration that comes back related to traveling, studying, publishing, the meaning of life, astrology, spiritual science, or the law. Something in that area of life has like a new inspiration might bubble up. This might not be when you start taking action on it. On Sunday, it might just be like, ooh, wouldn't it be nice to go to this country? Or wouldn't it be fun to learn this language? Something like that only will happen if you actually do something. It's not like it falls in your lap. The idea might, or the plan that other people are making that you're allowed to join in with might, but the actual it happening is going to depend on whether you follow through with it or not. So don't think this is a general reading. Don't think this is advice. It's going to be different for everyone, but something nice and easy related to learning something new, speaking a new language, joining a course, learning your favorite stuff, learning spiritual stuff, or even doing something that's more like studying something that may lead to professional development down the road. That could also be a focus for Cancers right now. So the next thing we should go over, the next and last thing I'm going to cover today is Venus going through that, Venus entering Pisces for you. So Venus will enter Pisces on, I think it's actually on Monday. And so this is a little bit past when it just enters, but Venus will enter that ninth house, bringing more joy, peace, loveliness, or ease to your ninth house of spirituality. This might be a time where you enjoy spiritual practices. With Saturn here, it makes me wonder for Cancers, for any Cancers who started a more serious or rigorous spiritual practice back in March of 2023. This might be a time where you just start feeling good things about it, or it starts feeling nice. It's like Saturn there really brings more of a serious, pessimistic feeling about God and the universe and life. And you can kind of feel like, I don't want to say like God isn't there, but it can just feel like a time in your life where you're more skeptical, or you're trying to figure out what you believe, or Again, Saturn in the ninth can be when you're taking on a heavy load when it comes to studies, especially to prepare yourself for that professional emphasis that will naturally happen when Saturn hits that 10th house in a couple years. So for Venus being here in that ninth house now, it's like there's some kind of joy, there's some kind of ease, there's some kind of something nice going on related to what you're studying or what you're learning, what you're trying to publish, depending on what's active for you, which part of that ninth house is most active. Is it your beliefs? Is it your spiritual practice? Is it you're publishing something, or you're something related to the law, you're getting some legal training? Any of those things can be highlighted, but Venus makes it feel like your emotional foundation is really invested in your beliefs in some way, or maybe you're exploring new belief systems that are related to helping your nervous system, or, because you've got your nervous system to a certain level and you're feeling a certain amount of groundedness, now you're ready to learn some other more complex topic because you have the basics down. It's like psychic development almost, where you have the basics down and now you go to that next level. And it's like fun now. Let me know, Cancers, if that actually makes any sense. This is also your 11th ruler in the ninth. So it's like friends can contribute to what you're learning, what you believe, what you're studying, what you're publishing, what quest you're going on, right? Whether it's travel or whether it's that quest in the mind of learning that next beautiful thing. So that is that for Cancers. Let me know how it resonates, you guys. I always love hearing from you. Let me know in a comment. And also feel free to check out my eclipse video where you can get more on what's happening at the end of March. So we are going to go now to our lovely Leos. And here we are. For Leos, we have the Mars squaring Uranus, Mars in that 7th, squaring Uranus in the 10th. Your partner might be pissed at you today, Leos who are in a relationship. Or it can go the other way where they're pissed at someone else and you're experiencing it. But that would be my first, Mars going through the 7th. Usually fight with your partner a little more during this time. And more, they're coming at you. They're more pissed at you. You're more pissed at them. You're on their ass about something or something like that. Now, the 4th house rules home and family for you. So it could be you and your partner together are working on things related to home, and that those things are maybe tense, or there's some pressure, there's some timing, maybe it's hard to get a loan, it could be something else, but pressure and partnership and home are all going to be connected here. So that's something for Saturday. Also, Mars does rule your 9th house of travel, the meaning of life. So maybe for some of you, it's like you were supposed to go somewhere with your partner and you couldn't get a ticket in time, or they were supposed to meet you and they couldn't get there and they got stuck, or other kinds of frustrations related to travel can be happening for Leos who are in relationships. Even if you're not, it could be like a friend. You're supposed to meet a friend at the airport and they're late or something like that. It can also just be that general frustration of, I want to be further than I am right now and I'm antsy and I feel like I need to do something. I recommend not doing something because it's never, and it doesn't work, when it's like this. It usually, in a square, it's usually going to be the part of us that's like trying to do all this stuff doesn't win. So you can fight, but it's like you're more likely to strain yourself or have problems come up from that pushing too hard today, Saturday. So when it comes to Sunday, we do, let me fix that. So it goes back to Leo here. When it comes to Sunday, this is going to be Mercury entering your 9th house. So Mercury was in Pisces, for you, Mercury rules your second house of money, and it also rules your 11th house of friends and, acquaintances, people you see, and that sort of public relationships with people. So that planet being in the ninth house means you might be investing in a trip, you might be traveling, you might be investing in a new make. Related to money, if things have been unclear the last few days especially, but the last month, last few days, you feel like you're going in circles trying to figure out what to do about money or something like that. Or even with possessions, some of your possessions could have been liquidated during that time. Now you're ready to get new ones. Now you're ready to go on a quest to find the new furniture. Now you're ready to figure out what you want to spend the money you have left on. Or now you're ready it's like you can see what's going on. You want to take action right away. For some of you, this might have more to do with planning some kind of event. If some of you are planning an event where you're trying to invite people, this would be a time where you're ready to start the plan. You're ready to now start doing it. You might have friends who are traveling or want you to travel with them, or have acquaintances that are publishing things or want you to publish something with them, or people influence ninth house stuff like publishing, spirituality, what book you want to buy. Mercury in the ninth by itself is like a time where you tend to just want to be around knowledge for the purpose of being around knowledge. So when it goes to that ninth house, you're likely to want to explore a new topic, learn more about something you already know. And with it being Aries, it's like you want to go straight to the point. You don't want to learn the philosophy of the thing. You want to just get right down to it, and with Pluto here, it intensifies that desire to get straight to the point and address something or publish something or cut something out of your book that you don't want to add, or something else related to that bigger quest of life, either travel like a trip or a quest to learn something, or whatever goal you're on the quest of that. So that's what I have for that part for Leos. Let's talk about the new moon. The new moon in Pisces happens in your 8th house at 20 degrees of Pisces. The moon is with the sun during this. You won't see it on here, but it is. So that means that for Leos, that new moon can bring almost like a new focus on paying off debt, a new focus on your partner's money. Your partner's money might just be in a new cycle, a new focus related to inheritance, wills, estates, or investments, depending on what of those things are active in your life right now. And with Saturn here, it does feel more like a new focus of kind of wanting to get responsible, feel like you really want to step up to dealing with topics like debt or interest or loans, or just paying things off, or what savings account you have and how much you make on those things. The way money sort of but investments that money is making money, or getting money from other people's money. Those are all things that can be starting. It can also be a new cycle of intimacy related to your partner. Now that can be if you're in a relationship. For this new moon, some Leos might see your partner more or less and have more or less, alone time with them, or time to kind of talk about deeper things and have kind of privacy together. Others, it might be a new cycle related to, let's say you're not in a relationship. Well, for some, it might be a cycle of getting closer to people and maybe at some point being in a relationship. But for others, it's like a change to how you two mingle your money, right? Or if you're not in a relationship, a change to how your money is connected to other people. Now that could go one way or the other. You're relying more on others. You're relying less on others. With Saturn in the 8th, usually you end up relying less on others. But it's possible for some, this could be more like you and your partner buying a house because you're making that commitment and you're investing in something together. So it could go either way. It's a general reading. But let's go on now to the next thing I want to bring up, which is Venus on Monday entering Pisces at 8th house. This does feel like a positive thing, right? So it brings your communication into an intimate level, but it feels nice. So it's like having nice conversations that make you feel close to people. having, lovely words, having, even if, sometimes the eighth house is like challenging stuff. Sometimes it can be things like related to death. Now, I'm not saying that this is going to bring death, but it can be, for an example, someone who is a past loved one, and you find a note they wrote before they passed away. And it just brings this like feeling of like connection to the other side, and a good feeling of like, oh, I'm connected to the universe. It can be something else that brings that feeling, right? It could be you go see a medium. It could be something else where someone just says a nice thing to you, or is there to support you, or you're there to support them and you feel really good about that. The 10th house is also your work. So this could be your work becoming more of a joint partnership kind of a thing. Your work gets sort of enmeshed with other people and blended with others. And it could be you get a grant or someone gives you money for your work, but it's more likely that your work is supporting someone else. It almost makes me think of someone who like it's a coaching client, because when your work goes into the eighth house, people don't really see that because it goes to the other person. So, people who work as therapists, right? It's like that eighth house is like helping someone else psychologically. But even though that's a beautiful thing and it's important, it tends not to get as much credit because the work that you've done is not really seen by others unless someone goes out of their way to make it known, if that makes sense. All right, so we are going to go on now to our next sign, which is going to be our Virgos. For Leos, please feel free to let me know in a comment below if that resonated. I always love hearing from you guys. And feel free to check out my eclipse video, which is for the end of March, the lunar eclipse in Libra. All right, going on now to, what did I say we're doing? Virgos. Okay, we have beautiful Virgos in the house. And for Virgos, Mars squaring Uranus can be something related to your work and your desire to travel. It might be like you get a commitment to a job, you have to work more hours, and now you can't take a trip you wanted. It's like you want to be doing both things. You want to be working all the time or doing that next promotion or something. And you also want to be going somewhere else. It could also be you're doing work related to that ninth house, like you're learning more spiritual things or you're bringing more spirituality into your work. But for you, Mars rules your third house of communication and your eighth house of sex, death, and other people's money. So what does this mean? For Virgos, Saturday can just be, oops, I'm on the 8th. Let me get to the right day. Saturday can just be honestly, with Mars in the 6th, you have more to be done. It's a time you're usually busier. You're usually trying to accomplish more. And with Uranus squaring it, it's like you might be trying to do more than you can do in one day on Saturday, and you might need to kind of, hopefully recognize this and still do stuff, but maybe let go of the feeling like it has to all be done right now. Maybe only part of it has to be done right now. You might be stressed around how much time things take today. You might feel like you're late. I was kind of late this morning. So some of you maybe were late this morning, and it's like there's more to do. It's like that stress on your time and you're busy, how busy you are. But that doesn't feel like huge life-changing stuff. That feels like just what's going on today. And, with your 8th house ruler being Mars, some of you might be motivated to take actions that help you pay off debt or invest money or something. But it's like, it doesn't feel like this is when you're making an investment. It feels more like you just feel the pressure of like, I haven't invested in that stock or something like that. or I haven't paid off that loan yet. Okay, so we'll go to now some of the bigger stuff for the week. So there's kind of this underlying pressure this week of like, am I doing enough? Am I doing enough? What does it all mean? Am I learning enough? Am I on the right path spiritually? And almost feeling pressure around that. Mercury entering that 8th house. I think this will be nice for Virgos because it's going to leave Pisces. Mercury doesn't like Pisces. It gets all muddled, right? It's hard to think clearly when you're underwater and everything's dissolving. It's like you just wrote your to-do list and then it rained. And now it's all blurry and you don't remember what it said. That's kind of what I feel for the energy of Mercury and Pisces. Really great for writing poetry. Really, really beautiful for like telling stories and feeling connected to people and having conversations that just flow and go all kinds of places. Not so good at like making contracts and communication and stuff. So when Mercury is in Aries for Virgos, you can start feeling a bit like a little bit lighter in your communication and your plans. Now, you might become more aware of 8th house stuff like taxes or debt or paying something off. Others of you, it might just be a time where you can really focus in on what your plans are and kind of make them in a more direct way. You might feel more like, okay, I got to figure this out now. Let's do some stuff. Let's nail it down and like identify what we're doing in the 8th house of, taxes and accounting and investing and other people's money and, where my money ends and yours begins. Now that can be within a relationship or outside of it. But overall, I think Mercury in Aries is going to be nice for Virgos because I think it'll give you a mental shift that takes your thoughts away from things that are more fantasy and like healing, which is nice, especially for Virgos if you've been doing more guided meditations or doing Reiki or watching more videos on like spiritual topics or, kind of having that enjoyment. This will be a time where, okay, it's like, now let's get to work. Now let's figure out what we're doing, not how we're feeling, what we're going to do. So there might be just things you need to deal with now. And the 10th is kind of a beginning of the energy shift of going, okay, let's plan, let's figure it out. Now, the next thing is the new moon in Pisces. Now, this was at 20 degrees. Let me rephrase that. This is at 20 degrees. You see the moon is not in the right place on this, but the new moon itself is at 20 degrees of Pisces, which means for Virgos, it's in your 7th house. New beginnings in relationship. With this sextile to Uranus, I do kind of feel like for single Virgos, you could have a potential new person come in, but if they do, it's like you still have to say yes to them, right? It's not like they just show up at your doorstep with roses and they're like, I'm here, right? It's like maybe they ask you out, you have to say yes, or maybe you have to ask them out, or maybe something else needs to happen that requires a little bit of movement on your part. Now, for Virgos already in a relationship, this could be some new exciting thing your partner's doing or you're doing together that's like inspiring, but also stepping up to a responsibility. Because that Saturn in the 7th can be commitments. Now, let's say you are single and maybe there isn't as much on the relationship level. The 7th house rules others. So when you're single, you still have transits to your 7th house. It doesn't mean nothing happens when those things go by. It just gets put onto whoever the others are in your life. So it might be some kind of new beginning with others that is not relationship related, where you're maybe working in partnership with people, or maybe you are creating something with some other people. Or maybe you are making a new friend, right? Because the seventh house rules friends. So on a Sunday, this would be a good day to try to make a new friend if you want friends. It would be a good day to try to connect with people on something that's inspiring and by doing things that are enjoying life. This is a good time to allow those kind of things because that energy is there for those like sudden, spontaneous connections to come out of nowhere that are like kind of beautiful and meaningful. This could also be just a moment where it's like you meet someone who has some lovely spiritual message for you. So be open to that as well. And so the next thing we're going to address for the week, this will be the last thing for Virgos, is Venus entering Pisces. So for Virgos, Venus rules your money, and it also rules your ninth house of the meaning of life and travel, and it goes into that seventh house. So sometimes it's you're investing on things that are Pisces-like or seventh house-like. So for some of you, if you do just meet someone, you're spending more time with them and you're enjoying it. And it's nice. For those of you who are in relationships, maybe you're going on some dates with your partner more at this time. It can bring that, and maybe you're spending some money on the date or getting ready for the date. For others of you who maybe relationships aren't on the radar, again, this could be making a new friend or a new woman enters your life, and that woman may not be a romantic thing. It could be your sister comes to visit you, or another woman comes to visit you, or you go to visit them. It can be more time in your life and relationships that you're focusing on enjoying life, enjoying art, enjoying beauty, enjoying the senses, and, doing things that with others, especially that you're going to enjoy. You might be investing into doing things with other people. So that could be anything, right? It's like buying your friend lunch, or like, I don't know, going out. And even though the seventh house isn't really going out, but it's the idea of putting your money into something that is flowing, something that brings creativity or fun, or, you go to a painting class or something like that. And with the Venus ruling that ninth house, it might just be certain relationships are bringing more meaning. More meaning is brought into your relationships. This almost makes me think of like, I don't know, if you were a Buddhist and you meet another Buddhist and then you have these great Buddhist conversations, and it's just such a breath of fresh air. That is what I feel around Pisces energies. That is one of my keywords for Pisces, is it's a breath of fresh air because you get to kind of escape from the boring everyday reality every once in a while. And something like Buddhism, where you're doing those silent meditations and stuff, would really fit with Venus and Pisces while Saturn is there as well. So this can be a good time financially too, just since that Venus is in the sign of Pisces where it's happiest, and that's your money planet. And I mean like a subtle good time financially. This would depend on each person's chart, but it's almost like it's a better time financially, but it's almost like you make more money, you have a bigger bill to pay, or you make more money and then something happens with Saturn there where it's like you lose some of it, or it's withheld from you for a little bit or something. So that is what I have for Virgos. Overall, there's a lot of potential for new beginnings in relationship or new friends and inspiration at this time. So I would say that's the biggest takeaway I have here. And you might just be really busy, but some of those things can be the things you enjoy the most. So that's what I have for Virgos. If you want more on what's to come, feel free to check out the eclipse video. And we're going to go on to the next sign, which is going to be Libras. So for Libras, we have we have Mars squaring Uranus in your 5th and 8th house. So there might be tensions related to like intimacy or passion or just frustration. You might have a desire with Mars in that 5th to do things that are more creative. You might be busier doing art or something, writing or doing anything that's like a form of self-expression. And that might be for your work or otherwise. Aries rules your relationships. So Libra, if you're in a relationship, your partner might be pissed off today on Saturday. And if you're not in a relationship, you might be annoyed about something. You might be just a little more tense related to money. Money might be something that's feeling stressful or putting some pressure on you right now, because Mars also rules your money. So that pressure is probably going to start to release around Wednesday. It might be at its worst today, Saturday. And it might be a point where it's like, sometimes you had a breaking point when Mars and Uranus are square, and you're like, I can't keep spending all my money on this. Or, I can't keep making money like this and working so hard with Saturn in that sixth house. There has to be a better way. I have to do something different. Something like that can be going on. All right, so then what else we have to talk to Libras about is going to be Mercury entering Aries and then new moon in Pisces. Mercury entering Aries will bring focus on partnerships and relationships. If you're not in a relationship, it's the other people around you. If you felt like your ninth house of the meaning of life or your 12th house of psychology and spirituality have been confusing, this might be a time where things get more clear. It might also be like the last few weeks or days, you've been more in this spiritual zone of like just soaking everything up and drinking all the energy in and like listening to the mantras and doing all the meditations. And now it's time to get to business. And so that energy shifts a bit. It can also be because Mercury comes out of your sixth house and into your seventh house. So the idea here is that like something you've been planning or working on the last month or so, maybe now it becomes a little bit more visible, a little bit more able to be seen and measured, kind of a thing. Like seen and measured and like worked with, if that makes sense. This little bird just landed on the thing and it's adorable. I wish I could show you guys. Okay, I have to get back to work. Didn't I just say you're getting to work? Yeah, like your work might become more visible. You might be working more or talking more about things in partnership. I almost imagine like someone who has been like writing a bunch of emails now is getting on calls with people, right? So it's the shift from the communication being busy but under the surface, but now to be direct and clear and above the surface in some way. And remember, that can just relate to your 12th house of your spiritual practice, or it can relate to your 9th house of writing, publishing, the meaning of life, travel, philosophy, other languages. Which of those things is active in your life? That's probably the thing that's going to show up the most. It's like you might just be reading more, right? Like the 9th house is like the things you're learning, the things you want to take in that are like new and more, not just new, but like in depth, right? So Mercury in Aries is like you just go straight and buy the book or something. All right, so now let's talk about the new moon in Pisces for Libras. It's actually at 20 degrees. It's just, the sun shows 21, technically it's at 20, but I don't want to have to change all this. So new moon in Pisces in the 6th house means a new beginning to something related to your work. It doesn't mean your job ends necessarily. You may start working in a different way. It's a new cycle related to your work. And with Saturn here since last March of 2023, Libras have probably been working harder than normal or had more responsibilities than normal. So this new moon in Pisces doesn't necessarily change that, but perhaps there's a new way of working. Perhaps there's a new schedule that's going to be coming. That's often what a new moon in the 6th will do, is it will change your schedule. And it could be like you do more work or you do less work or you do a different kind of work. You have different coworkers. Now, what else? Oh, there's that sextile from Uranus. So you also might be inspired to like do something new at your job or have some kind of new inspiration on Sunday related to what you're doing for your work or what your like day-to-day responsibilities are. The sixth house is like, it can also be your pets. Some Libras might get a new pet. Others, it can be like, again, the way you run your schedule or your diet. You're like, you get inspired to do a new diet, or you get inspired to change your routine. That's probably kind of what it's like. It's like a new routine. So your work might stay the same, but your routine of what you do before and after might change as well. And then the next thing I want to go over, the last thing for the week, is going to be Venus on Monday entering that sixth house of Pisces for Libra. So Venus rules you, and it rules your eighth house of intimacy, taxes, other people's money. And Venus going into the sixth house brings it kind of makes your everyday routine nicer. So it makes me wonder if something on Sunday inspires you to do something different with your routine that makes it feel better. It could be doing Venus stuff like wearing a face mask, or, whitening your teeth, or doing other things in your routine that would be to support Venus stuff, which is like aesthetics or beauty. And that can be anything. It can be like you start getting your eyebrows done, or you start getting, I don't know, any kind of anything related to your look or your appearance, the look you give off. It could be you get a new job, now you need to buy new clothes for that new job. It could be anything like that. But usually with Venus in the sixth, we're enjoying life more. Some of you might be eating sugar more, or eating sweets more, or, just enjoying making your smoothie in the morning, or enjoying your workout, or doing a certain kind of exercise that's like actually you like doing, or doing some painting, or, bringing this sort of sense of ease and flow into your day-to-day life. And with Saturn there, though, it's like there's still hard work, but it's like you get to listen to your favorite music while you're doing your chores or something. So that's Venus in the sixth. You can expect for it to, this will go beyond this week, but you can expect for it to just bring more joy or more pleasure into your day-to-day dealings. Now, you are Venus, though, so this could also be you, again, putting more focus on the work that needs to be done, the chores that need to be done, the laundry that needs to be done. Sometimes when the planet that you goes through the sixth house, you just have more to do during that time. And it's not always like stuff you get things for. It might be you have more dishes because you have an extra guest, right? Stuff like that where there is more to be done, but it still has a feeling of not necessarily bringing hardship or anything like that. So that is what I have for Libras. Let me know in a comment if it resonates. I always love hearing from you guys. And you can always check out my eclipse video after this one to get more on what's happening for the month. So that will cover things going on starting the end of March. So now on to our next sign, which is our Scorpios. So let me get us on to Scorpio. Here we are. And I think now is a good time to actually give a little announcement for anyone who wasn't on earlier. I do private readings. You can book a reading using the link in the description. I also now offer financial assistance for those who maybe cannot afford a full reading. You can apply using the link. Keep in mind, not everyone who applies will be approved, but if you are approved, you will get an email using the email that you sign up with. For everyone else, just book a reading. I think I have some left for March, some openings. So if you're trying to get in for March, now is a good time to work on that, to get that scheduled so that you make it before I get booked up. All right. That being said, let's go on to our beautiful Scorpios. Scorpios have this Mars-Uranus square happening from the 4th to the 7th. For you, Mars rules what does it rule for you? Mars rules you and your work. So work could be tense today. Today could be a day where you have more, your schedule could just be like jam-packed full, Scorpio, and it's like you can't do all the things you wanted to do. It also be like, let me think. Stress. I mean, stress, being busy, but being busy at home. It's almost like you have so much to do at home today that you can't do it all, or I don't know, you're at home and you get called into work and you have to go to work, or things that just bring a bit more of a tension related to work related things. And you might just be irritated today, Saturday. You might not be, that's fine, but Uranus usually does put some tension on you, and you might feel like you had a breaking point where you're like, enough, I just can't with this. Whatever this is. It could be your kids fighting, and you're like, enough, one of those days. It could also be something else related to your home that you're just like, I can't deal with it, right? Or it's like, again, something heats up and that causes like an electrical failure, or the lights stop working, or you have issues with things that relate to electricity especially. Now, enough of the negative Mars predictions. Let's move on to something that is a little bit more better, but keep in mind that frustration feeling today's the worst of it. And if you're just feeling heated, that's going to fade definitely by Wednesday, but it'll just start fading from today to Wednesday. Now, the next thing is going to be Mercury entering Aries, and we'll talk about the new moon in Pisces. So Mercury enters Aries, which is your 7th house. Nope. Let me fix this. All right, this is better. Days. Okay, so Mercury enters Aries, which is your 6th house of work, pets, schedule. So it does feel like this might be a positive shift where you can go from feeling all this, it's like the energy shifts a lot when Mercury goes into Aries, because in Pisces, Mercury is just like drowning in the spirituality. So if you've been like in this creative zone, or if you've been doing lots of guided meditations, or just, getting distracted, or getting really into your favorite show, binge watching something, really likely with Mercury hitting Neptune today, maybe Saturday you go on a binge marathon watching all your favorite shows, and Sunday you're like, all right, now we got to do all the dishes, right? It's that shift from getting lost in something and letting yourself go into another world, which sometimes we need to do, and then getting up and going, all right, now we're back to, setting the goals, cleaning it up, dealing with stuff. And Sunday will be a good day for that. As Mercury enters Aries, we might just be focusing on what's next and how to get there the fastest, how to accomplish what we want to accomplish in the fastest, most direct, clear-cut way. Okay, perfect. Okay, so back to what else is going on here for Scorpios. With Mercury in that 6th house, it can also bring some of your focus on your habits. Now, Mercury rules your 11th house of friends and hopes and dreams, and, people, acquaintances, people that are not your best friends, right? People that you would see in public. And that goes into your 6th house of your routine. So this could be a time where you see more acquaintances on a regular basis. So even if it's like at your workplace, some of the people that you deal with, not all the time, maybe you're going to see them more. Maybe they're going to be stopping by the office more. Maybe your friends are going to be coming over to your house during this time and be with you while you're doing your routine or something. Something where groups of people, or more than one person, connect with your day-to-day schedule. So it could also be you doing stuff regularly. Like, I don't know, I think of like when you join a gym or you join a group study or something, where you're doing the things you would normally do every day, but you're doing it with people more. That could be something happening too. Mercury also rules your 8th house of investment and other people's money, and it goes into the 6th house, which makes me feel like if any of you have investments, this is probably not the easiest time for it, but it's almost like there might be more of an awareness of how not to lose money during this time. You might be busier too, because Mercury is, wherever we have Mercury, we're just kind of like going back and forth. So Mercury in the sixth house is like, you go in the kitchen to grab the thing, and then you go back to the room, and then you go back to the kitchen. You know, it has that kind of like shifting, unsettled energy. So it can mean you're doing more tasks during your job where you have to multitask more. And it's like back and forth kind of a stuff. That might be happening while Mercury goes through that sixth house. You're just multitasking more. And it feels, I mean, it's going to be different for everyone, but this doesn't feel like a downer. You know, it almost feels like it lightens up the energy a bit, having Mercury be in this fire sign. You know, like you have more tasks at work, but it feels better because you have stuff to do now. Whereas before, maybe you felt more bogged down or more heavy in the slowness and the, you know, emotions of it all. Okay. That's only going to apply to some people. Now let's talk about this new moon. Technically, it's 20 degrees of Pisces, so you can't really see it exactly on here, but the new moon in Pisces will be in your fifth house of creativity and children and self-employment, self-expression, fun, pleasure. So we like new moons in the pleasure house, and we really, really like new moons in the fun house with a sextile from Uranus in the seventh house, because this kind of gives a vibe of like a new kind of sex with your partner, you know, or like when you've been dating someone and now you start having sex, or you start having more pleasure together, more dates, more fun, more enjoyment. So I like this for Scorpios. Now, for those who are single, that Uranus in the seventh can be you and a friend going to different, you know, parties, or going to different creative things, or having new hobbies, or, you know, just anything that you enjoy. It's like, usually because it's from the seventh, you're probably not going to be doing it alone, but it does feel like you might get inspired on Sunday, or the few days after Sunday, to start a creative project, to do something fun, to get some like go to an art museum, or do live music or something, you know, something like that, where you're enjoying the scene of a thing. And this can also be a inspiration to create something, right? And that creation could be artistic for Scorpios, but it could also be your self-employment, right? Like an inspiration to start a new business, or an inspiration to do your business in a different kind of way. Or again, an inspiration for something fun. If you have kids, you could be inspired to do something new with them, or they could have an inspiration, or they could have something in their life that's like a spark of creativity showing up as well. Either way, because it's a sextile, when it's a sextile, you got to work with the energy. So if you're getting some kind of good idea here on Sunday, Monday, or Tuesday, Scorpios, listen to that and know that it's one of those things, you either grab it and you do something with it, or it passes and it's fleeting and it doesn't come back like that. Those Uranian impulses, they come at weird hours of the night or whenever it's makes the least sense for that thing to be happening, and they're out of nowhere, and they die out of nowhere too. The impulse or the inspiration. It's kind of like, I think of like when I was doing something called the Artist's Way, and I would get this in the middle of the night. I would get song lyrics in my head, but if I didn't write them down, I would forget them. So think of how that kind of energy is showing up in your life. It won't be exactly that thing, but that's the metaphor I'd like you to consider for Sunday. So moving on to the next thing, which is Venus on Monday entering Pisces, entering that fifth house of pleasure. So I like Venus in the pleasure house for you Scorpios, especially after all that inspiration and flow. So it's like, today, Saturday, has all this tension, but then it's like it gives birth to some kind of inspiration and flow that we could see continuing through the week. And with Venus and Pisces through them, at least up to the end of March, if not later than that. So what we might see with Venus in that fifth house is, again, your dating life gets more lovely. Maybe you date someone lovely, or you're going on dates with a partner. Venus and Pisces in the fifth house is like a beautiful scene. It's like going on a date where like the lights are perfect and like there's music playing and it's just a vibe. That's the metaphor I get for Venus and Pisces in the fifth. Now, if you're not dating, then just replace it with what brings you pleasure, what you enjoy, and what is lovely to you. That's different for everyone. But for Scorpios, because you have Pisces on the fifth, it's like, love really does have to be kind of easy in a sense. It's like you have enough intensity in your own emotional makeup. You don't need the other person bringing a bunch of drama. You can do that yourself just fine. But it's like Venus there in that fifth, Venus ruling your 12th house of spirituality, isolation, psychology, and your 7th house of partnership in that fifth house with this. It does feel very much like, for those who want relationship stuff, this can be nice dates and things like that. For those who don't, for those who are single and maybe not ready to have a relationship or something, this can still be friends, going out with friends and just having a good time, just having a really good time. I mean, that's really what I feel for this. So, that's what I feel. Now, for some of you, it might be enjoying something fifth house related, like gambling. It might be enjoying something related to self-employment, or like creating and structuring the creativity with Saturn here. And I think as Venus gets closer to Saturn into probably next weekish, you might see yourself ready to commit to something, right? That could be someone you're dating, or it could be a creative project, your own baby. It could be your baby, your actual baby. It could be your metaphorical baby. All the babies go in the fifth house. Okay. Going on now, we're going to go on now to the next sign, which is Sagittarius. So for Scorpios, let me know in a comment if that resonated. I love hearing from you. If you want more, check out my eclipse video, and you can always book a private reading. All right. I just want to say hi to some of the comments, you guys. I've been ignoring you. Misbehaving. Thank you for sharing what's going on. And see, hello. Carolyn's here. Hey. And yeah, and then Josh saying, woke up this morning with 6th Avenue heartache in your head. How interesting. I love it when I wake up with songs in my head. Sometimes I think that's how the divine speaks to us, All right, I'm supposed to be doing Sagittarius now. Let's get to it. And this video is taking I did have plans that I was gonna get up early. I was gonna already have a video made by this one, and those plans did not happen, which is totally fine. This is not a complaint, but it makes me laugh, because that's kind of one of the significations of Mars Uranus, is that whatever you want to do, there's a change to the plan. I'm grateful that my plan change was so simple and my own fault and not anything horrible. Okay, so going on now to Sagittarius, starting with today, Saturday, I'm totally confusing myself. Okay, so because I have this on the rising sign, it looks like Mercury is already in Aries, but it's not, because this is tonight. Very late tonight. And I hope you can't hear that car alarm very loud, guys. All right, so for Sagittarius, let's start your timer. And we are going to look at Mars square Uranus for you. Mars in the third, square Uranus in the sixth. Today, Saturday, Sagittarius, I would say it's not a day to kind of try to run around and go do a bunch of stuff. You will want to, but Uranus there, this is no, 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 no. When we have tense squares between the third and sixth house, this is where like accidents can happen. Now, I'm not saying all of you will get in an accident. I'm saying don't be trying to cut people off in traffic today. Don't be pushing that those energies that are already tense. Don't be lifting more than you can carry, and don't be cutting people off in traffic. Now, as far as other things related to Mars, Uranus, for you, Mars is ruling your fifth house of creativity, self-employment, your kids, and your self-expression. It also rules your 12th house of, like your psychology, your isolation. So the fifth ruler being squared by Uranus makes me feel like if you feel like you have to hurry up and start a business, and this is just the feelings that happened today, or, you have to hurry up and like get out that next piece of content if you make content, or if you feel like you need to just get something done, or feeling pressure to say something, today might not be the day to say it, Sagittarius. Because with Mars in that third, you're going to be more direct than you already are. Sagittarius already can be quite direct. I mean, I know some of you, you're wonderful. I love my Sages. I love my Sag risings. You guys are always going somewhere. I love it. And with Mars in that third, there's just more of a potential to start a fight with someone, or to cut someone off, and be like, eh. Now, if you need to tap into that energy and someone's been pissing you off and you need to tell them, you need to communicate something that has sharp edges, maybe you could rely on this energy, but I don't even feel like it's as good for that, because you're likely to be sharper than you need to. So keep this in mind today, Saturday, that your words are going to have sharp edges, and maybe you're going to be less patient. This might not be a day if your friend needs a listening ear, because you just might not feel like listening to them talk about the same fucking problem over and over again. You know what I mean? It's that kind of energy where it's just, you're not in the mood. Now, see what mood you're in, right? See if that fits. And if it does fit, that's fine. Now, with the fifth house ruler in the third, though, it's like you could say things about yourself you didn't want to say. You could feel tension, like you have to say something, right? Sometimes I see this with people with, especially Mercury in the third squaring something like Uranus, or even Mercury and Uranus together. I know this is Mars, but still there's a feeling with these planets like you have to say something or you have to do something. Like you're in this situation and you have to do something. Like, when you see these traffic cams of people who they're sitting in traffic and they don't need to do anything. They just need to fucking sit there. And that one asshole, they get nervous, or they just, for whatever reason, they pull into the other lane and they do it right before a car is like, it's on the freeway and that car's going like 60 and they cause an accident. Okay. It's the metaphor of this. Okay. It's the metaphor of just chill. Just chill. Because if you have all this pressure to act and you're not grounded, it's like you'll do the exact thing you shouldn't be doing. Let me know if that makes sense for Sagittarius. Just apply it if it fits, and if it doesn't fit, great. I'm glad. If you're not frustrated, I'm happy for you. That's wonderful. Mars ruling that fifth house, though, again, it could be like, oh, I need to send 27 emails to my list today. If you're feeling that pressure to create something, pressure to get something done, it might be a day to see, does it really need to happen right now? Now, going into Sunday with Mercury entering that fifth house, so now we have a bit of a shift for you, because Mercury for Sagittarius is going to rule for you your work life, your public work, and your relationships. And that goes into that fifth house. This is a good time to meet new people if you are a single Sagittarius and you want to. Oftentimes, Sages, especially my Sag risings, don't need help with this because you guys are not, you're not slow on the whole dating scene. You're not messing around. There's that desire to kind of explore and meet the next person and talk to the next person and see what they're like. Sag wants to explore all the things. But when that relationship planet goes into the fifth house, it does feel like it's, if you're looking at a time of year when you're more likely to meet someone or to start a conversation that ends in you dating them, or then you maybe even dating them or getting serious. Yeah, when Mercury is in Aries, I would say that's true, especially with the North Node Chiron here. Kind of bringing, like I talked about this all February, you could still go back and watch that video. It would still be accurate because they're still within orb. But it's like, where have you held yourself back from in the past? Maybe for some of you Sages, it's from flirting and dating, but some of you others, it's from making a commitment. It's from like taking it from the flirting stage to the actual, now we're in a connection and we're friends, or we're gonna maybe date, or we're in a relationship stage. So this might be a time, especially if you've been feeling that. If you Sag, especially mid-February, have been feeling like you've held yourself back from enjoying your life, or from dating, or from letting dating evolve like it, could, and just keeping everyone as an option. Sagittarius, I know you because I am a Sag, where, you want all the options and then you don't want to commit to any of them. And then they all find other people who will, right? And then you end up just by yourself with no options because you didn't want to make a commitment, right? If that sort of reality of your life has come up, or something else where you've had to kind of hold back how you fully express yourself, I think Mercury here now on Sunday may bring a desire to revisit this topic and to really, how do I take that next step in my business? How do I take that next step in my creative passion? How do I have more fun? Let's go have fun. Let's go talk to people. Let's get chatty. Let's go on a dating app again. Let's go, have 10 conversations at the same time with different people over text. This might be a time where that just naturally happens more in your life or in your work. It's a good time for dating, though, a good time for meeting people, a good time for kind of, if you've been in a stage of not doing that and you want to, kind of breaking through that. Now, let's talk about the new moon in Pisces for Sages and how this really kind of is going to bring a new beginning to your home life. Some Sages might be moving. Some of you might be getting an apartment or getting a roommate or making another change to your home and your living situation. For others, the fourth house can be your emotional foundation. So with Saturn here, this is actually pretty likely. How do I say this? Whatever house Saturn's in, it's going to show you the problems you still have there. So for some people, this is more problems than others. And the fourth house rules your home, but it also rules your emotional foundation. So if you have had issues with not feeling good in your own skin, or not feeling grounded, or feeling like, you don't know what to do when you get stressed, or other stuff like that, anything like that, this can be a time where you, hold on, I just lost it. It's going to come back in a second. This can be a time where you realize it. You realize the challenges to your emotional foundation, but the new moon may be a new beginning. If you are a Sag who is having that happen, the new moon may be a beginning where you can start to where you can start to why can't I finish this thought? Where you can get therapy, right? Or you can do, and I'm not saying you need therapy, whatever the challenge is, the new moon might be a new beginning where you solve the challenge, right? So if it's nervous system stuff, this might be a cycle where you stabilize the nervous system and you learn these techniques to do it. If you are not taking enough time out to just listen to yourself, maybe you journal more during this time while Saturn's in the fourth. That would be a really common way to deal with those kind of problems. Or maybe there's stuff related to your home life that you realize, or your family of origin, and this can be related to actually them, or it can just be you and how you feel about your family of origin. And you realize, I'm still mad at I still have a resentment at my mother from when I was 7 years old and she ate my ice cream, or something more serious than that, where now this new moon is like a new cycle where you can somehow learn how to resolve the challenges that are coming up in that fourth house. Because remember, Saturn can only bring up challenges that are still there. And so it's really going to depend. That Saturn transiting that fourth house is really going to depend on what kind of fourth house challenges you had in the past that weren't yet addressed. Those things will now be shown to you. Okay, that being said, that new moon in the fourth house can also, again, just be you moving or something. And with it sextile the sixth house, maybe there's a change to your schedule or a change to your work that allows for something new in the home. So this could be like you start working from home, or it could be something more like you get a raise and now you can afford to save for a place, or, your schedule changes. And because your schedule changes, now you can redecorate the way that you wanted to, or something else related to your habits and your work that has some sudden change or sudden inspiration that you get that supports, and this can also be like, it does feel like habit change that supports emotional well-being. So I do think that might be really nice for you, Sagittariuses. Now let's go on to the last thing we want to cover for you guys, which is Venus entering Pisces on Monday. So Venus will head into that fourth house on Monday. This can be a little more peace or ease in your home, something nice in your home. It can be, if you have roommates, a woman moves in. Some of you, if you're in a relationship, someone like the person might be moving in, or they might be staying over more, or you might be staying over at their place more. And just the enjoyment of that, right? The way it feels when like you wake up next to someone and it's like, it just feels so good, right? Like that kind of thing. Now, not all Sagittarius, it's going to be that, but something nice in the home, new art, maybe redecorating, new paint, new something aesthetic and visual that brings a vibe. But it can also be you just enjoy your quiet time, or you have more quiet time, or something like that. So pay attention to things that are shifting on Monday that bring more peace or loveliness. Maybe it's something annoying ends, maybe a loud sound that your neighbor was making stops. And there's just something really nice about your home that makes it more pleasing or enjoyable to you. Maybe it's the perfect temperature, going and sitting outside more, or you're sitting in the pool, anything like that, if you have one. Okay, we're going to go on now to Capricorns. For Sagittarius, feel free to let me know in a comment if that resonated. I always love hearing from you guys. And you can also check out my eclipse video, which will tell you more about energies happening towards the end of March. Going on now to our lovely Capricorns. Let me get to you guys here. All right, so our Capricorns, we've got this Mars Uranus happening in your second house and fifth house. Oops, let me get to the right day. I'm on the wrong day. So we're going to go back to today, which is the 9th of March. Okay, so here we are. Let's actually do this. All right. 9th of March, Mars in the second, squaring Uranus in the fifth. This can bring tension or frustration from money. It's like overspending on something you really want. Be careful, Capricorns, not to like buying concert tickets you can't afford or something. So be careful you don't do that. Now, it could also be like wanting to make more money and feeling that tension and pressure to just make more money or spend money. Oftentimes though, I don't know how Capricorns are with this. For me personally, with these tense aspects that feel like that, I generally find that nothing I want to accomplish when I'm in this mode ever does do anything good. But Capricorns, feel free to test this with your own experience and see. But it does feel as though things related to making, like if you're trying to get rich today on Saturday, it feels like that would be the hardest way to do this. Some of you, maybe it's like you took an extra day of work to make more money and it's stressful. Some of you, work could just be stressful. Some of you, money could be stressful. But Mars rules your 4th house of home and your 11th house of friends. So this could also be something like the people who want your attention or need your help, or just people in general are frustrating you. It could be you're in a crowd and you feel like everyone's pushing you today. It could be more people want to talk to you than you want to talk to them today. It could be that kind of thing. I think of people who work in like people who work at like fast food places and stuff. I've done that kind of work before. I do not do good at that kind of work because I can't handle it. I can't handle the chaos. But I think of that kind of chaos where it's like there's 27 people in line and each order takes 10 minutes and it's going to take you an hour to get to the last person and you can't do anything to make it go faster. You just have to kind of go through the lunch rush or the dinner rush or whatever. And I think of that with this energy of Saturday. Now, it might not show up for Capricorns that way. It could show up more like you're frustrated about what's happening in your home. And there's an argument about what's happening in the home. It could be there's an argument between the parents. It could be there's an argument between two of your friends or two of your acquaintances that they're getting tense with each other and you're just like not involved in it at all. But usually there's a feeling of impatience, and for you it's probably going to be about money and pleasure, or home and money and pleasure, where like there's some tension here. Let's go on now though to Sunday. We have the new moon in Pisces and we also have Mercury entering Aries. Let's talk about the new moon first. It's going to be at 20 degrees of Pisces. That's your 3rd house of communication. And so it's a new beginning of communication. We can see in new moons things like a new kind of marketing, or like a new moon in the 3rd. You want to take a new course. You want to learn something new. You start copywriting. You start writing more emails for your work. Okay, so can you see the theme here of like whatever is active in your life related to the topic of communication? Think of that thing. And so think of like some kind of inspiring new beginning related to that comes from that 5th house. Uranus in the 5th to new moon in the 3rd makes me feel like some kind of creative hobby you want to start doing. Maybe you've been singing and now you want to start doing it. Beginning to do something where you express yourself or you use your voice. But with Saturn here, maybe you're working hard on it, right? Like maybe you're working hard on singing. Maybe you have been focusing on getting better and now you feel like, okay, now I want to go just try doing an open mic, or maybe now I want to take it to the next level, or maybe, something else inspiring that is exciting that has to do with self-expression and how you communicate, how you be yourself in the world, and wanting to do that more. Keep in mind that on Sunday, it might just be the idea. And for some, this can also have to do with relationship or dating and partnership, because that 5th house rules like the fun part of a relationship. It rules like pleasure. And sometimes dating is fun. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's horrible, but we'll save that conversation for another day. That Uranus inspiring something in the 3rd. It's like, oh, I'd love to sing like this. I'd love to sing in this style. I'd love to write in Old English. I'd love to read Shakespeare. Something that you want to do. Now, keep in mind, You might want to do other shit I don't like to do. You might be like, I'd love to drive a monster truck. I don't know, something fun. And it actually could have to do with your vehicle as well. So some of you might be getting a new car during this time, making changes to your car, but that's not necessarily going to be everyone. So we'll go on now to Venus entering. Actually, no, we need to talk about Mercury in the fourth house for Capricorns, and then we'll go to Venus. So Mercury entering the fourth is going to be your ninth house planet and your sixth house planet. So sixth house is like your schedule. So this could be a time where you are spending more time at home. You get more clear, or you just take some time out after work or something to plan things. You get a new planner, or you are really getting clear on what you're going to be doing every day. Like you get more clear or more direct about it, and you just have a little bit more of a straightforward energy here, especially if the last few days or few weeks, well, Mercury's been in Pisces, and really, the last few days being with Neptune, even into today, Saturday. Saturday's the day I'm doing the report. So if you're watching this after, even into Saturday, when Mercury was still with Neptune, now it's like, okay, now the fog cleared. We can see what's going on. We're ready to figure out whether we're going to travel to that country, whether we're going to speak that other language, whether our life means anything at all. Because that ninth house ruler does rule those kind of things, whether we feel fulfilled. And we're also figuring out, what are we spending our time doing? How much time do we get at home? And can we go straight home after work now? Can we go get shit done at the house? Can we do a bunch of things at home now? Maybe this is what Mercury is doing in the fourth house for Capricorn. Sometimes it is going back and forth and like going from this room to that room, going from the kitchen to the living room and then back to the kitchen, and doing that for, a good month or so. Sometimes it is writing at home, like writing on this calendar and writing on this one, and doing more stationary, or like writing or reading a bunch of different books at once, like I do at home. It can be that too. So that's what I have for that. Let's go on now to Venus for Capricorns. Venus goes into Pisces in the third house on Monday. Monday, that would be the 11th. I'm looking at the 12th on this calendar, on this chart, but it happens on Monday the 11th. And Venus enters that third house, bringing more lovely words, nice communication, artistic, poetic stuff. Things you want to listen to, listening to your favorite music, all that beautiful stuff. Now, Venus rules your 10th house. So this could be your work focuses more on driving, going from place to place, shipping and receiving, communication. But there's something nice about it. There's something enjoyable about it. It can also just be at your workplace now, you got your favorite music playing. At your workplace, you're doing more quick communication. You're sending more emails. You're having more quick chats on the phone. And it feels like there's something nice about it, but it's also work. Now, Venus also rules your fifth house of pleasure and dating and goes into your third house of communication. So it does make me feel like more pleasure comes into your day-to-day life, especially your commute. Maybe you find a podcast you love and you're listening to it all day while you're driving. Maybe you are working from home and you're playing it in the background, and you're allowed to during this time. It can be tons of other stuff, but it's like your self-expression takes on this more poetic or more ease to it, more ease, or, something where, you have a partner with you, or someone you're dating is coming with you while you do stuff you would normally do by yourself, and it's more fun, or you're dressed up while you're doing it or something. Okay, going on now to, for some reason, I just got the image of someone who just got their car detailed and now it smells really good. Someone else, that might be one person, where it's like Venus being perfumes, and Venus and Pisces being perfume, and the third house being your car. It's almost like you get a new scent in your car. So maybe there's like just one Capricorn out there who that's how it's showing up for them. Either way, that is what we have for Capricorns. If you want more, feel free to check out my eclipse report. You can always also book a private reading with me using the link in the description. So let's go on now to our next sign, which is going to be for the Aquariuses. Let me get it onto you guys here. And let me kind of adjust some things. Okay. All right, so we have Aquariuses up. And for the Mars square Uranus on Saturday, we have some tensions running high as this being an angular square, Mars ruling your third house of communication and your car, and also ruling your 10th house of work. Some of you might be stressed about your public image somehow. Others of you might just be really busy on Saturday. You might be like driving somewhere for work, or you might just be busy. Usually when Mars goes through your first, you're busier. You just have a lot more to do. In the first or the sixth especially. Sometimes the third as well. Now, you might be stressed out about your car today or something. That's another way that could show up. But I want to kind of go on to the first real, actually, no. That tension about work, your public image, where you stand in life is kind of what I feel for most of Aquarius. It's like, are you where you want to be? Are you the person you want to be? Have you accomplished what you want to accomplish? Saturday the 9th, you might be thinking of these things, and you might be feeling more pressure to act based on this kind of dialogue that you're having. And it can be with someone else or with yourself, where it's like, what have I even done with my life? Am I where I need to be? What do I need to do? And there might be a temptation to push really hard. It's not advised during a Mars Uranus transit to push hard, because that's where the breaking point happens. Okay, so that being said, that energy is going to continue through Wednesday, although it'll start fading even tomorrow. Now, the next thing to look at here is going to be this new moon in Pisces in your second house of money. New moon in the money house, but with Saturn here, it doesn't feel as like, yay, yippee. It feels a little bit more like, now we get overtime. It feels a little bit more like there's a new beginning with money that is a result of hard work, or a new beginning with money that has to do with cutbacks, or learning to live with less. Sometimes when Saturn goes through the second house, we do learn to live with less, but it's like we choose it. Like you choose to go become a teacher, or you choose to do something is going to make less money because you want to be happy. Other times you're like buckling down and going through a phase where you're sacrificing and you don't make as much money now, but perhaps it's so you'll be able to in the future. Kind of like when you invest in some kind of certification or some kind of course that it's like, if I do this if I become a phlebotomist, I will make X amount of dollars, kind of a thing. Okay, so back to what Aquariuses are doing right now with this new moon in the second house. Again, it's like this new moon where there's more possibility to enjoy your money or enjoy your life. So I feel like some Aquariuses might actually be consciously creating a life that requires less money so that you can have more freedom and ease. It might be that. Because with Pisces on the second, it's like you'd rather not think about money. You just want it to show up. So with the new moon plus Saturn here, it does feel like this might be a move toward minimalism, where it's like, maybe it has nothing to do with the job. Maybe you're getting rid of enough stuff that now you don't have to pay money to maintain those things, or you had a 3-bedroom, now you're in a 2-bedroom, or something else along those lines, where you're getting rid of the storage unit and now you don't have that payment, kind of a thing. Now, that may not be everyone, but there is a new beginning with your finances. And it does feel very nice, and it feels like there's a little spark of inspiration or something that comes from that fourth house. Some Aquariuses, it is possible this could be something from a parent, that it's like, I don't know, you get money from a parent and then you are happy, then it creates more ease and flow in your life. For others, it may have to do with a change to your living situation. Again, going back to that idea of like going from a 3-bedroom to a 2-bedroom. Or, I know most people, their rent doesn't go down. So maybe it's that your rent goes up and now you got to figure out how to pay it. But it doesn't quite feel like that. It feels like there's some kind of inspiration that leads you to make some kind of changes financially, that leads you to sell something, or that leads you to liquidate something, or that leads you to kind of something along those lines, where it's more about that Neptune energy of dissolving things and having that relate to finances. So either way, think of what's happening on Sunday for you, Aquarius, related to your money and what you kind of feel inspired to do next related to it. Now, I'm not saying whatever idea you get on Sunday is a guaranteed success, but it does feel like there could be some kind of spark of inspiration here to kind of pay attention to. That's really going to focus on your security, your security in terms of your living situation and your comfort and your food and your necessary survival things. But there feels like there's something really nice about it. I don't know why. Some of you Aquariuses, it could be something like, how sometimes people will like buy a whole cow and then they'll freeze it and then they'll save a lot of money that way. If you are vegan, of course, that's not going to apply to you. But it's like, that's kind of the metaphor, I think, of where you get some idea. And it's like, oh, well, this would be really nice and make my life easier. Something like that. I'm not saying all you need to go buy cows. This is not financial advice. Going on now to Mercury entering this 3rd house. This will also be happening on Sunday and technically tonight, Saturday night. So by the time we wake up Sunday, Mercury will be in Aries. So Mercury for you is going to rule your 8th house of other people's money. It's going to rule your 5th house of pleasure, and it goes into 3rd house of communication. So talking about things you enjoy, having pleasant conversations, communicating in a way that is pleasing, hearing or saying things that you enjoy hearing or saying, talking about, yourself, expressing yourself, using your words to express yourself in a way that maybe you could not when Mercury was in the 2nd house. And, with that 8th house, it can also be possibly other people's money going into your car, but that doesn't feel as likely to me at all, actually. It feels more like this transit is about what do you have to say and what do you need to hear, and being able to take more of a direct route to it, even if it means overcoming some fears. So going on now to the next thing we want to cover for this week, which is Monday when Venus enters Pisces. For Aquarius, this will be your 2nd house of money. I like Venus in the money house because it feels like you might be able to enjoy your money a little more during this time. Venus rules for you your 9th house of the meaning of life, and it also rules your 4th house of home. So your home contributing to your finances, this could be the story of like an Aquarius who starts renting a room in their house and then they make more money this way. Something about the home you already have or a property you already have beginning to bring money to your life. Now, only take that if it resonates. If you don't have a property, that doesn't apply to you. Now, for those who don't have any kind of property or anything, what could this be? Again, your parents could give you money. It could also be, or one of your parents. It could also be you make money off of selling some things you had in your house. Some Aquariuses, it will be that. For others, the 4th house being that emotional foundation, showing up in that 2nd house. It's like self-esteem focus time, time to focus on what you're worth kind of in a way. And feeling like for those of you who do 4th house stuff as your job, like coaching, things that help people with their emotions. Those of you who are therapists, those of you who are people who help people deal with how they feel in any capacity in your work, it might be a time where you're starting to make money off of that. Now, for Aquariuses who are watching this, they're like, I'm not making any more money. Venus in the second can also be you enjoying your things. It's like you get a new vase and you polish it up and you put it on the shelf and you just love the way it looks, right? Sometimes these transits are not life-changing when they're the things that happen every year, right? Like every year Venus will be in Pisces, and every year Mercury will be in the third, right? They'll just be there in different order at different times. So that's what I have for that Venus in the second. It's also possible that Aquariuses around Monday or after are thinking about how much joy their stuff brings to them. Maybe you're going to Marie Kondo it and just like go through all your things and be like, does this bring me joy? And then, get rid of stuff. It could be you have one particular new thing that you buy or that is given to you or whatever that's like, this is my spiritual thing. This is meaningful. This is my little bowl for my offerings, for my offerings, or like something else where, how people have altars and they have like a little, like a little Kali doll, like a little, not doll, but like figurine, or a Buddha. Like people have a Buddha, and it means more than just a thing. It's like it has all this meaning built into it. Some Aquariuses, that Venus in the second, maybe something a little more like this, where there's some kind of possession that has meaning invested into it or built into it, and you are enjoying having that thing or using that thing. So that's another way that could show up. And that is what I have for this week for Aquariuses. You guys, let me know in a comment below how it resonates. I always love hearing from you. And check out the eclipse video, the lunar eclipse in Libra, if you want more on the energies for this month. Now we're going on to the next sign. Last but not least, we've got Pisces. So for Pisces, let's get back to the right day here. We're going to start here on Saturday the 9th, and we are looking at Mars Uranus. So Mars in the 12th, square Uranus in the 3rd. Be careful, Pisces, on Saturday. I know it's already here, but what you want to watch out for with Mars in the 12th in general is like repressed anger, and Uranus squaring that is probably going to bring up repressed anger, because Mars in the 12th means stuff we're mad about, but we don't know we're mad about. But Uranus, brings it up. Think about Pisces. Was something pissing you off this morning when you woke up? If it was, it might be worth it to think about that thing. Where when the Uranus transit happens, it can seem like a sudden thing that's just happening right now, and it's not ongoing. However, what's happening is that anger has probably been there for a while, and now you're finally aware of it. You're finally aware that you're annoyed by this certain thing, or that this like little thing that's been going on for a while is kind of pissing you off. Pay attention to whatever that is, if there is something like that, because this is like your subconscious saying, hey, you don't like this, right? So if there's something you haven't noticed that's been bothering you, that you haven't taken the time to go, why is this bothering me? It's kind of like if your roommate pisses you off every day, and every day you're like, whatever, it's no big deal. Whatever, it's no big deal. Today, Saturday, might be the day where it's a big deal, and you're like, I can't, you are really pissing me off, right? Or it's like, it might be the same thing, or it might be a different thing, but the energy of I keep having to deal with this over and over again. Today might be a day where there's wisdom in that anger, because it can teach you what needs to change. And what sometimes we just keep getting pissed off instead of saying, oh, maybe I'll change that, because we know changing it might be too hard, or it might be a big step, or maybe we really know we don't have the resources. Today would be a really good day you don't have to feed the anger, go into the anger. Just take note of what is really frustrating you at a deeper level, because it might be something you're not fully always letting yourself see because you're swept up in day-to-day life. And there might be There might be some things you can do about this anger, or something you can do with it, or something that really does need to change. That while Mars is going through that 12th house, you have to look harder to really see what's going on there. Okay, so that's what I have for Pisces on that Mars square. It's also, Mars also rules your money, and it rules your ninth house of travel and the meaning of life. So what I feel like for this is maybe for Pisces, there's some financial pressure. There could have been an unexpected bill today. There could be an unexpected thing that shows you owe money you didn't know you owed. Maybe not. There could be a debit out of your account that you didn't see coming. Maybe it was planned, but you didn't realize it was planned. Something like that. So, and it could also just be financial pressure that builds up, and it's like, finally, there's something about today, Saturday the 9th, that feels like a breaking point around that. If it does, remember you have Chiron North Node here kind of calling you toward a plan of action, which brings us to tomorrow, which is the 10th, where Mercury is going to, let me fix this. Where Mercury is going to be like, hey, what are we doing about this? Right? So that might be you sort of ready to take your thinking out of the swimming pool and like put things down on paper and it's almost like Mercury coming out of Pisces. When things come out of Pisces and into Aries, it really does feel like you get out of the swimming pool and you get up on the little chair and you just dry out. Metaphorically, because you're going from a sign that is kind of cold and like damp and confusing and going all places to a sign that is dry and hot and is ready to do something. Now, I know when you're sitting on the chair in the swimming pool, it's not really a time to plan for action, but it's like all that weird, murky, swampy energy, all this confusion about who you really are, what your identity is. Now, confusion about identity can actually be because something just changed. Maybe you just got a new job or a raise or decided to move or a new roommate or a new partner or started dating someone or some other thing in life that would be just a change to your life. That every change has a little bit of a confusing moment where we go from the identity of this person to the identity of this person. And when we make huge ones, they're disorienting, right? This is why, I'm going to go off on a tangent, but when celebrities get plastic surgery, they can't get too much, because when you see someone change a lot, it's actually hard on us psychologically. It's so hard on us psychologically that we're like, is that really her? She didn't look like that. It's like we literally can only handle so much change at a time before it's like hard on ourselves. And that's true for our own self and our own life direction, which, your first house is kind of packed right now, Pisces, with Saturn giving you some kind of sacrifice and commitment, and Neptune making it really unclear while you're making that commitment who you are or what you're doing or what you're changing to, right? So Pisces are in a big kind of transitionary period in life right now. And Mercury kind of going across all those points is bringing focus and mental energy to your commitments, and your feelings and your feeling of who am I? Your feeling of who am I? So I think Sunday helps with this, where Mercury gets into Aries. So you're like, all right, I'm not confused about who I am anymore. Why? Well, maybe something was just made solid that was up in the air. Now it's solid. Now I know. Now I don't have to wonder, is this real or is this going to be happening? We know something is happening or it isn't happening. We have this sort of clear direction to focus now. So there we go. Thank you, Mercury. And it's in your money house of, what are we going to do to make money? Are we clear on that? Maybe we're clear on that. And because we're clear on that, we can start doing some financial planning. We know we're making X amount of dollars per month or whatever. And based on this, we can do X, Y, and Z, right? So this can be Mercury entering that second house of feeling like we know what's going on, or we have a jumping off point financially. And I think when Mercury hits the North Node Chiron, it's going to be like, all right, now how do we break through? So we're sort of preparing for this financial breakthrough that we know we want to have, but we're not quite in the place of we are breaking through yet. And I feel like, I don't remember, I don't want to mess this up, but I suspect Mercury goes retrograde before this. Let me do it. Let me just do one. Maybe not. Nope, it doesn't. It'll go retrograde after. I'm jumping ahead and it'll come back. Will it? No. Okay. So we need to go back like a bunch of weeks. Okay. So I needed to see that to kind of interpret this part. Let me get back to now. Here we are. Here we are on Sunday again. So Mercury is going to hit this point. So right now we are prepping for our upcoming financial breakthrough where we know we're ready to go beyond the level we've been before. And perhaps we already know what's happening and it's set, or perhaps we're building up to that still. But it does feel like for Pisces who want to make more money or make money in a way that is expansive or have that going on, it does feel like when Mercury gets here, there can be something new that we've never done financially before. And with Saturn in the first, I don't feel like it's easy, but I do feel like it's creating change and possibly more money. Okay, let's talk about the new moon here in Pisces. This will be at 20 degrees of Pisces. And it's going to be, what day is this? This is Sunday also. Sunday, really early Sunday morning. New beginnings in your self-identity. So the new moon in your sign really does bring new beginnings to your own self, which is like a new job, new partner, new amount of money you make, something that you would describe yourself as, where you live, stuff like that. Things that are very much like, this is who I am. These kind of things change. Now, the new moon happens on Sunday, so we might have an inspiration on Sunday for like a new job or a new something, but it may not be quite that cut and dry. It could be something that's already in the works that by Sunday or Monday now becomes official, or you know something like that, where it's like we were going to do this, now we're doing that. You're now hired, or you're now getting that raise, or now is the first time you get the raise, or something like that. Okay, so we know there's some kind of inspiration that creates this new beginning with you as a person. It's possible this could also be a new relationship. A new relationship. Mercury being a relationship planet. A relationship that was undefined now maybe has definition on Sunday. Maybe it's your own desire to have a relationship was unclear to you. And by Sunday you are clear and you're like, yeah, I do want someone like this. And this may not be because you jump into a relationship. It's like, I don't know, have you ever talked to someone who you know it's not right to date them? But by talking to them and being around them, you're like, man, I would love to have a partner like that. And it's maybe they're not single, or maybe they're, for other reasons, it's just, this is not a relationship you would ever have, but just being around that energy is like, I want a partner like that. I want someone who cleans my car for me like that guy did to his wife, or whatever it is. This might be something more like that, where there's something that helps define the values of what you want to have in a relationship. Or you're ready to start investing in a way, or someone invests into you, because 7th house is your partner and they're investing into you. Your partner pays for something, or maybe a potential partner buys you something, or gives you a gift, or, wants to take you out and spend a bunch of money on you, or something else like that. So this is another way this can show up. But either way, there's a lot of clarity happening for Pisces by Sunday related to how you want to make money, how you want to proceed financially, and how you want to proceed in relationships. Now let's see how Venus plays in. Venus entering Pisces on Monday plays into the situation. Venus brings loveliness to you because you are Pisces. So Venus in the first house is known to sort of make you feel your most beautiful, especially for those Pisces risings. And if you know the degree of your ascendant, when Venus passes that degree, that is when, like, some people who follow astrology will like get their photos done on the times that Venus during the year, because it'll happen every year, crosses your ascendant. So know what your rising sign degree is and see what days Venus goes there. Those are going to be the days you look the best. You look your best, generally. This could be because you want to and you're putting effort into it, or you just happen to look really nice during that time. And other things we can see, I really love Venus going into Pisces for Pisces, because it's like, because you are a Pisces rising, you get the best from Venus focused on you. You know, you get the best Venus transit focused on your life direction and you. So it's like, this can be meeting a wonderful woman who just brings love and value into your life. This can be a focus on beauty or aesthetics or setting a scene or setting a vibe. So you have to think about how this affects you. Like if you're a Pisces YouTuber, maybe you're getting your set to look really nice. If you're a Pisces model, well, obviously Venus in the first is going to be you modeling, but like modeling for a scene that's like really vibey and like they have lots of well lit, just like a mermaid shoot or something, you know, or like a shoot underwater or something. Now, if you are you work in a coal mine, Venus going over your ascendant might actually be someone, I know you guys don't work in coal mines, you know, someone else is that Venus, that beautiful, like someone beautiful showing up in your life and after work or something. But either way, it does feel like there's a sense of ease and there's a sense of like you can relax a little bit. Now, Saturn is in the first house, so it's still a season of life, like a 2.5-year season of life of hard work. But maybe for the next month, that hard work isn't as hard as it would be the rest of the year. Or that hard work involves your favorite music playing on the radio. Or you get to eat chocolate at work every day, or, you know, something like that. The relationship you already have gets a little bit sweeter. You two are doing more, you're going out to restaurants more and eating delicious food together. So Venus in the first can bring a bunch of different things for different people, but often the typical Venus kind of things are like enjoying things that are rich and luxurious, even if that's just like, again, I think of like putting on essential oils in your room and so now it smells good, you know, or getting a new perfume or, just bringing the senses and the enjoyment of the senses into your day-to-day life. So you can think of that happening on Monday. Now, Venus rules your 8th house and it rules your 3rd house. So this might be some nice, lovely words. It might be you clean your car and it looks really nice. And you're driving places in your beautiful cleaned car that looks nice and smells nice. 8th house stuff is like stuff that deals with relationships and other people. So it could really be like if you're in a relationship that like a partner comes with you to do things and it's just more enjoyable to do the things with them. They see you on your lunch break or, you go do stuff with them after work or something. Or if you're not in a relationship, that 8th house can also be, it can be other people's money. So it's possible someone's giving you a gift, Pisces, during this time, Sunday, Monday, or after. Either way, it does feel very nice to have Venus going into that first house. Again, it's like because you're a Pisces rising, the best of Venus shows up strong for you. So that's kind of a nice thing to have. So feel free, Pisces, to let me know in a comment if this resonated, if this made sense. I always love hearing from you. You can always check out my eclipse video. So the lunar eclipse in Libra video is out. You can check that out. It is on the channel. It is up. You can watch it for your sun, moon, and rising. You can also book a private reading with me using the link in the description. And I now offer financial assistance for people who, if you can apply using the form to work with me for a one-on-one reading or a video. If you're someone who really wants a reading, but you cannot afford it. So you do need to fill out the form, and not everyone is accepted, but it is something I have as an offering now. So that's it, guys. I hope you have a beautiful week. We have a lot happening in the cosmos. If you are watching this on Saturday, the stress will die down a bit. You know, the tension has been running very high lately because first we had Venus square Uranus, now we have Mars. And so it's like one tension to another tension. And so, you know, by Wednesday, I think we're going to be feeling a lot more of the peace and the ease. And even into Sunday and Monday, when some of those Pisces transits start, I do feel, and even Mercury leaving Pisces, it's like we have a lot to look forward to this week. Where things have been unclear, they're about to get more clear tomorrow, Sunday. And where things have been, you know, with Venus going into Pisces, it's like the love and the beauty, it's about to get enhanced a bit. Although we're still going to have sacrifices to make with Saturn there, there's still an enhancement of love or beauty in our lives and enjoyment and pleasure. So we do have a lot to look forward to this week. And again, feel free to let me know how it goes for you. I always love hearing from you guys. Oh, and one more thing I almost forgot. I'm now offering, let me see if I have a thing on here. I'm now offering this, which is if you join my email list, you can get a chance to win a 20-minute video reading with me. The way it works is everyone on my email list at the end of March, I will do a raffle. I don't know how I'm going to choose one person. I'll just probably like click and point and like close my eyes, and whoever I get gets it. They will be emailed that they're the winner of the 20-minute reading, and they will get one from me. So if you want to get a 20-minute video reading with me, if you want to be in the chance to win, if you're already on my list, then you're already entered. If you're not on the list, let me make sure we have a link here in the description for that. I'm sure I do. Yes, it's actually right at the top here. It says join my list, and then it has a link to my list. And it's where it's actually, I'll show you guys here. It's where you can, It's where you can sign up for my free guide. And let me bring this up really quickly. You can sign up here for my free guide, Align Your Midheaven. This helps you understand how to work with your midheaven, what to do to kind of get the best out of your midheaven. And so it's a free guide, and this is how you get on the list. And so just by signing up here on my website, you can get on the list, and then you'll be entered to win at the end of the month. So feel free to join that. It is my email list, so I tend to let you guys know on it things like when I'm going to be live next. You know, I tell you guys things like when I have some kind of special thing I'm selling or a course that's going on sale, and I announce when my readings are available at the beginning of the month when I open up my schedule. Sometimes I tell you guys stories on there too. So it's always good to be connected like this because, you know, YouTube it always cancels people sometimes, right? So if you're on my list, you'll always be able to find out where you can find me regardless of what the social medias are doing. So I hope you guys have an amazing week. Hang in there if you're feeling stressed through this energy. Know that it will pass quite soon. And I hope to see you beautiful souls in the next video. Take care, guys.